You gave them every chance to win. If you look at this in slow motion, you can see Caitlin Clark clearly smiling in confusion, smiling in, did that really just happen? Smiling in, you sly W. And she says, she points at the other team, you gave them every chance to win. Oh, goodness gracious. Caitlin Clark, she's chomping at the bits to start talking to these referees during the game.
This isn't just about a bad call, this is a full-blown WNBA scandal of epic proportions. Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson just blew the whistle on the league's dirty little secret, and the fallout is about to be seismic. We're talking a tidal wave of controversy, folks, and it's all happening in real time. Get ready, because what I'm about to tell you is going to rock the sports world.
This is kind of where everything started at with Sydney Colson. So this is the timeline here. Let me get this pulled up here. This is interesting. I didn't know she said all that today. Okay, this is interesting here. She started off last night by saying at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm going to need for Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as each other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually. And I've considered roping my sister in it to have office purse charges.
The Indiana Fever just eked out a dramatic victory against the LA Sparks, but the real story isn't the win. It's the blatant, repeated, and frankly, shocking bias in the officiating that left players, fans, and analysts worldwide shaking their heads in disbelief. We're not talking about a couple of missed calls here. We're talking a systematic pattern of questionable decisions that strongly suggest something far more sinister is at play. And the social media firestorm that followed, that's just the beginning.
Who paying you, ref? Who you betting on? And mind you, there was some problems going on with the shot clock throughout the game. But man, there is no way. Right at the end of the game, you should be on top of it. You telling me you're not paying attention to when some hands touch that ball? Come on, man. And then to reward them with the timeout, like, fam, that's crazy work. Look, Caitlin Clark, like, what is going on here? She's like, no. Look, Caitlin ready to run the floor, fam.
Let's rewind to the second quarter. Kelsey Mitchell, a rising star and arguably the Fever's most dynamic player, drives hard to the basket. She beats her defender cleanly, and then in full view of the entire arena and millions watching at home, she gets viciously yanked. We're not talking a light bump, we're talking a blatant foul, so egregious that even the fans in the nosebleed section could see it crystal clear. Everyone in the arena, even the opposing team's bench, expected the whistle. Dead silence. The referees inexplicably swallowed the foul whole, acting as though it never happened. Mitchell, a player known for her grit and determination, somehow managed to finish the layup, but the damage was already done. The Fever bench erupted in outrage, and rightfully so. This wasn't a close call, this was a robbery in broad daylight.
There is one referee. We definitely have to check for betting slips for this guy right here. I think his name is like Agun Agazi, because it sure seemed like he did not want to let the Fever take away this win, making the last 1.9 seconds last almost 5 minutes. He was just like letting them call a reset timeout, and then he was like, no, it's a foul. But I think the worst part about that 1.9 seconds was when 0.4 seconds was left on the clock, and Kelsey Mitchell was at the free throw line. She was trying to miss on purpose because that takes time off of the clock, because if she would have made it in, they would have been able to inbound and possibly do a tip in. But this guy allowed a reset timeout. When do you allow a reset timeout with 0.4 seconds?
That's when Caitlin Clark, sidelined with an injury but glued to the game as always, absolutely lost it. She jumped up from her seat, shouting at the refs, waving her arms frantically and screaming, "Call it! Call it!" Her passionate outburst set the tone for what would become a full-blown social media war. Lexi Hull, fueled by the injustice, joined the protest, adding her voice to the chorus of outrage. And what was the referee's response to this blatant display of biased officiating? They slapped Hull with a technical foul. Let me repeat that. The player who got fouled got nothing. The player who committed the foul got to continue playing, and the teammate who dared to voice her disgust at the blatant injustice was the one punished. If that isn't rigging, I don't know what is. And the internet agreed.
That's what everybody saw in that game. Like, it didn't really matter what was going on. We all knew what was happening. We all knew what was happening there. And the game was being given. The game was absolutely being given to the Sparks. They were giving the Sparks every single chance possible to go and win that game. Even though realistically, did they deserve to win that game? Hell no. Hell no. They did not. And I mean that. They did not deserve to win that game.
And the Fever weren't the only ones furious. Watching from her living room, sidelined with a torn ACL, Sydney Colson, another star player, had seen enough. She grabbed her phone, and what followed was one of the most viral tweets of the season. It wasn't just a tweet, it was a declaration of war. Colson's message was simple, yet powerful, and it struck a chord with millions. At some point, Kelsey Mitchell needs the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually, and I've considered getting my sister, who's a lawyer, to pursue legal action. That wasn't hyperbole, that was a genuine expression of outrage, and the undercurrent of legal threat sent shockwaves through the league.
But Kelsey Mitchell's whistle last night was horrific. And Kelsey drove to the basket a lot. She is the type of person that just like goes through a lot of defenders, and she wasn't getting a call. This really was not her game. She was not hitting it from the three whatsoever, but everyone is entitled to having a bad game here and there. And I think she was kind of due for one because of the tear that she's been on lately. Even Sid Colson took to Twitter to talk about it, saying, at a certain point in the league's existence, I'm gonna need Kelsey Mitchell to get the same whistle as other stars. The way she gets assaulted is insane, actually.
The tweet, fueled by pure anger and unwavering honesty, immediately exploded online. Thousands of retweets, shares, and comments flooded social media, with fans from all corners of the basketball world echoing Colson's sentiment. Finally, someone had spoken truth to power, and the response was deafening. Of course, Caitlin Clark couldn't resist chiming in. Her response was perfect, short, sharp, and laced with the kind of sarcasm that only she can deliver. Careful. You're going to get fined. 6 words that said it all. Because Clark knows better than anyone that the WNBA doesn't tolerate criticism of its referees. You can get hammered on the court, ignored by officials, sabotaged by phantom whistles, but the second you dare to call them out, the league comes after you with a vengeance. And Clark wasn't exaggerating. She was pointing to a very real, very ugly track record.
Get careful, you're going to get fined. Then Sydney Colson said, I can't get no more fine. So Lynn Dunn stated, agree, I will help pay the fine. So that's what Lynn Dunn stated yesterday about the fines. And Caitlin Clark said, love it. Everyone listen to Lynn. So it's definitely a lot of exchange going back and forth there. That's crazy.
Just ask Sophie Cunningham. She's become the WNBA's poster child for what happens when you speak truth to power about the officiating. Cunningham has been fined not once, not twice, but *3 separate times for daring to question the ref's decisions. Her first crime? Lip-syncing to a TikTok song that satirized referees, a light-hearted jab that cost her $500. Then, she dared to criticize the glaring inconsistencies in officiating on her own podcast, another $1,500 fine. And finally, she had the audacity to point out the painfully obvious that some players received preferential treatment from officials, while others, like Mitchell, were consistently targeted with impunity. The quote that really stung? When whistles are player-focused, that's a huge problem. But some rookies shouldn't be getting those whistles. It's not fair, and for that honesty, another fine. This isn't about fair play, it's about control.
Like, I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, I think she's a hell of a player and, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And if you're going to do that, then give it to our guards. I just hate the inconsistency.
When whistles are player focused, that's I think that's a huge problem. But then again, I don't know what sport that doesn't exist. But she's a rookie. She shouldn't get whistles as a rookie.
The message is clear. The WNBA, under Cathy Engelbert's leadership, isn't prioritizing fairness or protecting its players. Instead, it's using fines as a weapon to silence dissent and maintain the status quo. This isn't just embarrassing, it's potentially corrupt. Colson knows this instinctively, and her response to Clark perfectly encapsulated the situation. I can't get any more fined. She's maxed out. Players are openly joking, or half-joking, about being fined into bankruptcy just for demanding basic fairness. The fact that it's even a joke is horrifying. It's a damning indictment of a league that claims to be growing, yet refuses to address its most glaring problem: corrupt, inconsistent officiating.
More people are talking about the refs than that. More people are talking about Caitlin Clark's reaction than that. And that just sums up how bad the refereeing is that we have seen an unbelievable game. We have seen an unbelievable game. A game where you're like, okay, maybe, just maybe, the Fever not even just maybe, the Fever put themselves in a great position. They put themselves in a great position to succeed. But now you're looking and you're like, what do people remember from this game? Caitlin Clark having to be restrained by her team.
But let's not kid ourselves. This isn't just about one missed foul. It's a pattern over and over again this season. Indiana Fever players have been hacked, shoved, elbowed, and targeted with excessive physicality. And the response has been predictable: silence from the referees, punishment when the Fever protest, and smirks from opponents who know they can get away with it. It's the exact opposite of how a league should treat its biggest draw. Caitlin Clark is the face of women's basketball, a global superstar filling arenas and shattering TV ratings records. And yet she's the one being battered without protection, a fact that's utterly unacceptable.
Please tell me y'all saw Caitlin Clark, the GOAT. Y'all saw Caitlin Clark crash out on the bald head ref last night. Please tell me y'all saw this. And she had Caitlin Clark spazzed on the referee last night. And I'm not mad about it. I see a lot of the haters talking about, oh, she be doing too much with the man. Mind your business. You are not in a GOAT's place, so stay out of a GOAT's business, okay? It's that simple. The officiating was awful last night. I don't know what was going on in that Los Angeles Sparks Indiana Fever game.
The real outrage here isn't just about one game or one bad call. It's about the cold, hard data. It's about the numbers that expose a league-wide pattern of bias that has gone unchecked for far too long. Let's start with the headline stat. Caitlin Clark alone has absorbed 17% of all flagrant fouls committed in the entire WNBA this season. Think about that for a second. One player, one rookie, has been the target of nearly 1/5 of the most violent, excessive fouls in the league. That isn't physical basketball. That isn't a rookie learning curve. That's targeted harassment disguised as competition. And the referees, along with Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, are whistling Dixie, pretending it's business as usual. And it's not just Clark. Kelsey Mitchell has become the poster child for silent whistles. As Sydney Colson pointed out in her viral tweet, Mitchell gets hacked, grabbed, shoved, and undercut on a nightly basis with little to no protection from officials. In one game against the Sparks alone, Mitchell drove to the basket repeatedly, yet earned only 2 free throw attempts. 2. Meanwhile, other protected stars in the league get the whistle just for flinching on a closeout. That's not officiating, that's selective enforcement, and it's killing the credibility of the game.
It was this dude right here. And from what I've seen, the man has been a part of controversial calls all year. He's been a part of it all year, man. Oh my goodness. What was his name? Jack, what you say? Agan Abazi. Agan Abazi, man. This man is diabolical work to the WNBA. He's betting. Somebody get the shame bell. Ding, ding, shame.
The league's response? Not reform, not accountability, not even a whispered apology. No. Instead, they've decided the best way to deal with criticism is to fine anyone who dares to speak up. Protect the ref's feelings, punish players' honesty. Sophie Cunningham summed it up perfectly when she said, "If I was a ref, I know I'd mess up all the time. But when it's a simple call right in front of your face, multiple times, what are you doing? That's not slander. That's not disrespect. That's a reasonable critique." And how did the league respond? By docking her pay as if she'd stolen from the team bus. It doesn't take a conspiracy theorist to connect the dots here. This isn't about one game, it's a systemic issue. The WNBA has created a culture where Indiana, and particularly Clark and Mitchell, are officiated under an entirely different set of rules. Coach Stephanie White has been warning about this all season, using words like egregious to describe the officiating double standard. She's begged the league for fairness, and what does she get in return? The same treatment as Cunningham. A fine, because apparently telling the truth about bad refereeing is now the most serious crime you can commit in the WNBA.
Hey, Ganabazi, how much money you got on that game? You took the Sparks to win, huh, didn't you? You took the Sparks to win, huh, didn't you? It's okay. It's okay. Maybe next time. Maybe next time you'll get the benefit of the doubt. The referees are bad, Bo. The referees are absolutely horrendous in this game. There's no other way to call it for what it is. The referees are abysmal. And you can't help but wonder, is there foul play going on here? Is there foul play going on?
And the favoritism is so blatant, it's insulting. Watch any Fever game closely. What's a foul for one team magically becomes a no call for the other. Hard screens that nearly send Indiana players into the third row, perfectly legal. Play on. But if Indiana sets a screen that's even slightly firm, the whistle comes instantly. Clark so much as raises an eyebrow after a missed call, and it's a technical foul. But when opposing players throw elbows, shove her to the floor, or take cheap shots at her legs, it's all incidental contact. Fans can see it, broadcasters can see it, social media sees it, everyone sees it, except the 3 people wearing stripes on the court. The most disgusting part is how the league weaponizes money to silence dissent. Let's put this in perspective. Sophie Cunningham earns roughly $90,000 a year, a solid salary by WNBA standards. But when you start docking her $500 here, $1,500 there, those fines quickly add up to a painful chunk of her salary. Over $2,000 this season alone has gone straight back into the league's pocket, simply because she refused to sugarcoat referee incompetence, and yet that punishment has had the opposite of its intended effect. It's backfired spectacularly.
Syd Colson is someone that everyone used to call the face of the league because she gets along with everybody. So when she's taking to Twitter to complain about something, it must be bad. Because usually she's just really funny, kind of cracking jokes here and there. And although this was pretty funny, there was a tone of seriousness, like calling out the referees, because the way that the Indiana Fever has been officiated, I think she finally understands from being on the team. And I'm telling you, this team sticks together. Her whistle was so bad last night that Lexi Hull even got a tech for it.
Instead of muzzling the conversation, every fine has amplified it. Fans now rally behind players like Colson and Cunningham even harder. Fever supporters are literally offering to crowdfund potential fines so their stars can keep speaking the truth. Former Fever executive Lynn Dunn has publicly sided with the players, throwing shade at the league office in the process. What was meant to intimidate has turned into a megaphone. The Streisand effect in full force. Try to hide the corruption, and you've just made it 10 times louder. The timing couldn't be worse for the WNBA. This is supposed to be their golden era of growth. Caitlin Clark has dragged the league into mainstream relevance, shattering attendance records, boosting TV ratings, and putting the WNBA on nightly sports shows. She's the goose laying the golden eggs. And what's the league's response? Not to protect her, not to ensure fair play. No, they've decided to let her get beaten up like a tackling dummy and punish anyone who objects. It's like winning the lottery and using the money to buy expired milk.
Sparks got every single call imaginable, and it was just noticeable, to the point you got Caitlin Clark running on the floor ready to crash out on a ref in the middle of the game, to the point where it's obvious. It's like the fix was in. The fix was completely in. So the WNBA needs to do something about this. Kathy Engelberg, you need to get a hold of what's going on here. The officiating Kelsey Mitchell getting knocked around like a damn pin.
That's what makes Colson's voice so powerful. She's not even suiting up right now, sidelined by a torn ACL, yet she still couldn't stomach the injustice, still felt compelled to call out the corruption from her living room. That's not attention-seeking. That's solidarity. That's leadership. And Clark's quick, sarcastic response, "Careful, you're going to get fined," shows just how normalized this intimidation has become. Players are no longer debating whether the refs are competent. They're debating how much money they can afford to lose if they dare to say it out loud. Here's the tragic irony. This isn't rocket science. The WNBA could easily implement standardized referee training, bring in independent evaluators, and create accountability measures. They could even adopt a simple principle: if a foul is obvious on one end, it should be obvious on the other. But instead, Engelbert and her team have chosen the laziest, most cowardly approach: financial bullying. Keep the refs untouchable. Keep the players terrified. Pretend nothing is wrong. And while they keep their heads buried in the sand, the game itself suffers. The integrity of competition is crumbling. Fans tune in and wonder if they're watching basketball or a rigged circus. Clear fouls go uncalled, phantom fouls swing entire quarters, technicals get handed out like candy to anyone who dares to show emotion. And the stars who should be shining brightest, Clark, Mitchell, even players on other teams, are forced to play under a microscope, where every possession feels like it's being judged by a biased jury. The broader pattern is undeniable. Certain players and teams get preferential treatment, while others, especially the Fever, get the short end of the stick every single night. This isn't about enforcing the rulebook, it's about enforcing narratives. And now, thanks to Colson and Clark refusing to shut up, that rigged system is finally being exposed. The league's response only makes it worse. Fines for honesty, threats for criticism, silence when asked for accountability. It reeks of desperation. It screams that the league is more concerned with image control than fairness, and that's the part that should terrify fans. Because if athletes at the highest level are willing to sacrifice their own money just to shine a light on this corruption, what does that tell you about how rotten the system really is? So here we are. Caitlin Clark and Sydney Colson have ripped the mask off the WNBA's officiating problem. The whole world can now see what Fever fans have known all season. This isn't basketball, it's rigged theater. And unless Engelbert and her referees face real, meaningful reform, every Indiana Fever game will carry an asterisk. The question now is simple. Will the WNBA finally listen to its players and fans, or will they keep punishing truth-tellers and letting corruption thrive? Based on their track record, don't hold your breath. What do you think will happen? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single update on this exploding story.